me about coming here, so let me just tell you, okay, how many people have heard me before? How many have never heard me before? Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Faye Zakheim. I am a professor at NYU in the School of Social Work, in the Graduate School of Social Work. I did my PhD at NYU. How many of you are still in school now? Oh, nice. How many are at, what school? Name them.
Brooklyn College.
Brooklyn, great. Brooklyn College, amazing. Were you at Brooklyn College? Let's start with that. Were you at Brooklyn College last week when the demonstrations were going on? And did you not say to yourself, we are the champions? It's really important. It's really, really important. So Baruch, Brooklyn College, where else?
Harvard.
Where?
Brown.
Where?
Brown.
You're at Brown now? Whoa, nice. Very nice. What are you studying? And what year are you? Very nice. Very, my niece graduated. Okay, so the reason I wanted We Are the Champions is because we are the champions. So the last time, and then if you're wondering about why, are you really from Redmond? No, it's like I'm looking at you. You're not. Oh, you are. Okay, so why is he giggling? It's a very big deal. You're like a major champion. It's a very big deal. All right, so why would I walk in here and talk about we are the champions of the world? I think for me, today's a very, very important day. Very important. Number one, this week is what? What? Say it, what?
Passover.
It's Passover, yeah. So as I'm coming here, I'm thinking to myself, it's Passover, and I really, truly believe that God really saved us. I'm not a Rebbitzin, I'm just a professor, but I really believe that God saved us on Passover, and He chose to take us out of Egypt and to bring us out. And I think that a lot of people don't really feel the victory of it. We don't really believe, like, did God really take us out of Egypt? And did He really split the sea? Did that really happen? Like, you kind of wonder, did it really happen? And then I said to myself, you know what? My mother's a Holocaust survivor. And I know that right now, we're meeting with the Holocaust survivors. I could bring my mother here and she could tell you, yes, we were locked up in the ghetto. Yes, they put us on cattle cars. Yes, they killed my father. My grandmother was shot in front of my father's eyes. She was shot. Yes, they killed the rabbi in the community. Now, I know she's going to be sitting right here. We'll hear the story. We'll cry. We'll believe the story. But in another, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when my mother's not around anymore, and there's nothing to prove that, yes, we were shoved into cattle cars, and yes, people were killed, and there was real bang, bang, you're dead, couldn't care less, crematoriums burn people, I know that in another 50 years from now, who's going to really believe it? They're already starting to say it never really happened. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, the Passover story is the same thing. When it happened, they were there. They watched it happen. They said, oh my God, they're killing us here in Egypt. What's going to be with us? And sure enough, God says, you know what, I'm going to save you. I am taking you out of Egypt. And they get out of Egypt, and God gives them, God gives us, the champions. We are the champions. God gives us, He chooses to give us His Torah. And as I'm coming here, I'm thinking to myself, wow, it's Passover this week. I feel like a champion. And, you know, there were times that I doubted, did it really happen? But then I say to myself, I know for a fact, based on what happened this week at Brooklyn College, I don't know how many of you have been keeping in touch with what's going on. So we're not in a safe situation right now as Jews. And we need to really stand up and believe in ourselves. And we have to identify as Jews. Which brings me to our topic of conversation. Is this too much? Am I being like overly passionate? I hope not.
Do you mind telling us what happened at Brooklyn College?
It wasn't only at Brooklyn College. It happened in a few different places. I don't want to get political at all, but at this point in time, Israel as a nation is being we're under a lot of scrutiny. There's a lot of things going on. If you watch the news, you'll see what's going on in terms of Palestine and Israel, and will we be able to keep our country? I don't want to get political. My point really is just that we're living in times where we need to appreciate the fact that we are the champions, that we are the Jews. And why am I talking about this? Because I was very, very, very lucky. 4 weeks ago, I got a phone call from Rabbi Katzin. As you all know, Rabbi Katzin, the most amazing person in the world. Rabbi Katzin said to me, Professor Zakheim from NYU, how do you feel about coming to Moscow and teaching at Moscow University? And I thought, whoa, definitely. What do you want me to teach? Your topic, do your topic. My topic, what I teach about, my area of expertise at NYU is about domestic violence. How many of you know what domestic violence is? So what I teach, just to give you a little background, is I believe that everybody should have a voice, that when something happens in domestic violence, it's not necessarily the man that's always the bad guy. It could be the woman, it could be the woman, it could be the man. So my way of looking at it, my lens of looking at domestic violence is a much broader view than just victim, abuser, man is the abuser, woman is the victim. It could be turned around the other way. So that was my topic that I came to at Moscow University. So we were at Moscow University, interviewed by the chairman, by the dean. It was really a big deal. And then I came in to teach the class. Very smart students. Not Jewish, very smart, very educated, Brown University type. They were in graduate school, Brooklyn College type. These were educated kids, very smart. And I felt good about teaching them, and they've been emailing me back and forth, asking me questions about this intervention that I do, about how it works, looking at domestic violence from a much broader view. You getting the picture? I liked it. But then, that night, Rabbi Katzin had organized that we were going to be doing Shabbat in Moscow with completely unaffiliated young kids, your age, right? Beautiful young kids, same age as the kids that were at Moscow University. But these kids they were Jewish. They may not have looked different than the Moscow University kids, just like you don't look any different than kids. You look like regular people, right? So they may not have looked different, but as soon as you walked into the room on that Friday night, where these kids were just socializing and enjoying Friday night, it wasn't about, davening, it wasn't about praying, it was just about being together as Jews. They were Jewish Russians that had never done Shabbos before in their lives, but they were there because they wanted to connect. The same reason that you're here, because you just want to connect, right? So we walked in there, and they were busy talking, but as soon as I said to them, wow, and there were, I think, 200 people in the room, and noisy, having a blast, what you would be doing, drinking, having fun. As soon as I said to them, wow, what a difference from Moscow University, it was quiet in the room. They wanted to understand, what's different about us from Moscow University? Maybe some of them wanted to be like Moscow University. They didn't know, what was I going to say? Why are we different than Moscow University? And it's the same difference that I feel when I come in here and when I'm outside the world. What's the difference? Whether you realize it or not, I don't know how many of you realize it. You think you're just here taking classes, and you're going to go on a trip to Israel, and I'm going to get to meet you on your trip. And if I'm lucky enough, I get you over at my house for a Friday night, which I would totally love to have. But there is a difference between you and the kids in the other world, in the secular world. There is a difference between the Moscow University kids. It was a glaring difference between the Moscow University kids and the kids that were there on Friday night, even though they weren't really keeping Shabbat, but they were there, And the difference was, you could feel that Jewish neshama. You could feel it. Your spirit, your Jewish neshama, I feel it. Like, I feel the love. I really do. I could just hug you right now. It will kill me. But it's there. It's there. I feel it. Like if I walked around and looked at each one of you, I could feel, I really feel it. So today, when I came, I do. And I love, I'm going to come around. As I walked into the room today, I even before I got here, as I was in an Uber because my car was towed away, but I'm not talking about that. As I came, a whole other session. I don't want to talk. It's about that when you have a lease on a car and your lease expires and you don't return the car, even though you pay your monthly check, they will come and take your car away. So on Friday night, I keep Shabbat. Friday night, I hear in my driveway, beep, 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 beep. I look out my window and I watch a tow truck go to my car and take my Lexus away. And yeah, it's my Lexus, my baby. And I'm thinking, I paid all my parking tickets. What could I have possibly done wrong? But I didn't renew I extended my lease for 3 months. But I forgot to tell them that I was extending my lease. Okay, but that's irrelevant. That's not what my story is about. Let's get back to talking about what we're talking about. What were we talking about? Yeah, it's about your Jewish neshama. So the real, thank you very much. So the difference is that when I walked in here today, and as I was coming here, I said to myself, you know what? That's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about that we are the champions. We're not like regular people. We're it. Do you know that Friday night that we were in Moscow? This is the cutest story. We're all having dinner together, unaffiliated Jews, all doing Shabbat for the first time. Like I'm sure a lot of you have done Shabbat. And if you haven't, you have to come to my house on a Friday night. So there we are on the first floor having a great dinner, right? Everything's great. A lot of them don't know that you're not allowed to ride on Shabbos. They don't know you're not allowed to drive on Shabbos. They don't know you're not allowed to use your cell phone on Shabbos. But listen how cute. Tell me this is not a Jewish neshama story. Rabbi Katzin says to me, after we finish over here, and I'm like zonking out, we're on Moscow time, I've already taught at Moscow University, I'm out, and he's still rearing to go. He says, after we finish here, so excited. I said, yeah, I can go back to my hotel, right? He said, no, we're going up to the 8th floor, because there's another 100 kids up there that would love to meet you. 8th floor to me, since I keep Shabbat now, right? 8th floor to me means climbing up 8 flights of steps. So what's a Yiddish neshama? What does that mean that you have the Jewish neshama? And you guys probably would have done the same thing. All of these kids, they don't know that they can't go into an elevator. They do elevators, right? But because they wanted to connect to the Jewish neshama, they wanted to really feel Shabbos, all 80 of our kids climbed up 8 flights of steps together with us. And it was the most amazing experience. So here are 80 of us walking into a room of another 100 Russian Jews, young Russian American Jews, just like yourself, and they started interacting. And they were like brothers and sisters, you know, because it's an automatic connect. When you know, you just feel it. I know, I don't know if you know it, but I know. I know. Because when I'm at NYU and I'm teaching my class, and I've been teaching for 100 years, I know immediately. It doesn't matter if somebody's name is Schwartz or the name is O'Connor. I know that I can feel that O'Connor is Jewish. She's got a Jewish mother. That Jewish neshama, that makes us the champions. So, does that explain why I walked into We Are the Champions? Now do you feel like you are the champions? Okay. So what I would like to talk about is about a champion that I lived with for my life. Do you want to hear about it? This is where I started last time when I was here, if some of you weren't here. So I was married to my husband, his name was Shlomo, Steve. At work, he was Steve Zakheim, and to me, he was Shlomo Zakheim. And he was very successful in healthcare. He owned every ambulance company in New York, and he did very well. He started out as a paramedic. It's a very nice story. He started out as a paramedic because he really liked doing EMT. He started out as an EMT. He did EMT, then he did paramedic. He was very successful in the furniture business, and then somebody offered him an ambulance license with 2 ambulances that had 3 wheels on them. And he said, do you mind if I switch out of one business and go into another? I said, well, you're doing so well in the furniture business. He said, yeah, I know, but my passion, my love is with saving lives. I want to save lives. I don't really like doing furniture. You know, sometimes you end up in a field that you don't really like what you're doing. And it's not good because we all want to be in a field where we're passionate about it. Where you wake up in the morning and you want to do what you're waking up to do. He said, I really want to switch into the ambulance business. Can I try? And we were young, so we were probably 26. So I said, yeah, okay. So he bought these 2 little ambulances with 3 wheels each, and those 2 ambulances turned into over 100 ambulances, and it also turned into medevacs. He had ambulances, he had helicopters, he had airplanes, all for the purpose of saving lives. He was at 9/11 when both buildings went down. All of his crews were down there. A lot of his ambulances were destroyed. His partner was killed at 9/11. When the buildings went down, Shlomo bolted himself up against the one pillar that's still, how many of you go down to the World Trade Center? I've been down to the memorial. If you go down, you should. If you go down there, there is a picture of him because he saved a fireman's life. And somebody got a picture of it, and he was on the front of Time magazine. So when he was there, there is one pillar that is left standing. Shlomo bolted himself up against that pillar. His partner, a woman, she bolted herself up against another pillar. That pillar went down. She died. She wasn't Jewish, but they were very, very good friends. She had an 8-year-old son. That 8-year-old son was put up into college, Shlomo continued taking care of her up until the very end. Shlomo ended up getting leukemia from being down at 9/11. So I lost my king, my prince, my hero. But I want to just tell you about him and what he said made him the champion of the world. He was very into saving lives. So what he did is he started an organization. He did a lot of things. He used to go to Russia to do bris milas on people in Russia that wanted bris milah. But the one thing he really loved to do, don't cry, the one thing he really loved to do was he loved to work with children that had cancer. So he built a hospital. How many of you have ever heard of Camp Simcha Chai Lifeline? It's a camp for little children that have cancer. He loved it. That was his life. And Shlomo used to say, it was just like there was so much money all the time. He just did very, very well. And he used to say, you know what? The more I do, the more I give, the more money keeps rolling down and coming on me. I keep doing, I keep giving. Because his mother would always say to him, you know, you're never at the office. Who's running your business? He used to say, God. And that was he really believed it. He really believed that for him doing a kindness, for him giving away, he was getting back much more than he was giving. So I'm saying an awful lot over here. But the one story I would love to share with you, do you want to hear one story that I think really tells the story of who he was? There was one little girl that was very, very sick. And he had this organization called the Dream Team, which meant that for these little children that were sick, you've heard of Make-A-Wish Foundation? So, which meant that this is the same thing, but this was specifically for little Jewish kids. So, which meant that if somebody had a dream about what they wanted to do and they were dying, they were very, very sick, hopefully not dying, but very sick, they would say what they wanted, and Shlomo would make it happen. That was what he wanted to do. So most of the kids, they would say, oh, I want an iPad, no big deal. He would give them an iPad. You know? One kid wanted to meet Justin Bieber, he got Justin Bieber. One girl who he just had a connection to in a really big way, she was very sick. She wanted to go swimming with the dolphins in the Bahamas. That was her dream. She wanted to go to the Bahamas. Where she got this idea, I don't know. But she had, no idea. But that, if you got a dream, you may as well, right? So that was her dream. She wanted to go swimming with the dolphins. Shlomo says to her, no problem. We're taking you swimming with the dolphins. He calls her Dr. Wexler, and says, I'm taking Nechama in the plane with the doctors, with the nurses, with everything. We're taking her down to the Bahamas. Dr. Wexler, who's the main guy at Memorial, says, no, not a chance. She can't go. She needs to be on her treatments all the time. You cannot take her away. He said, what, really? All right, I'll call you again next week. Nechama says, he says to Nechama, anything else you'd rather do? No, I want to go swimming with the dolphins. He calls Dr. Wexler again the next week. Can I take her? You're driving me nuts. Absolutely not. Call me in a month. Less than a month later, Dr. Wexler calls Shlomo and says, you know what? Take her. The treatments aren't working. She's not going to get better. Nothing is working on her. She may as well enjoy herself. Just take her. You take her with doctors, nurses, take her. So Shlomo gets his plane ready, nice big plane, takes it. I wish I would have brought the book. Oh, you might see it. Is it in the video, Rabbi?
We'll see.
All right. Shlomo takes his plane, doctors, nurses, all with champions, all with the kippah on their head, right? And all of these nurses, I think all in all, probably about a staff of about 12. She's got the oxygen going on. She's got everything going on. They have her laying in the airplane. They get to Atlantis in the Bahamas. the staff greets them, they put her onto a dolphin. Now, to put her onto a dolphin meant that she had to be on the dolphin, strapped on, with her oxygen tank right next to her. So we have a video, I don't think that's the one you have though, but if you come to my house, I'll show it to you. We have a video with Nechama, with the oxygen in her nose, strapped on, she's on the dolphin, and the dolphin is flying away. How many of you have done the dolphin thing? Isn't it amazing? It's amazing. So she's on the, and you hear her, this girl who is so sick, and with, you know, that color, that horrible color that one gets when they have cancer, that green color, and she's laughing as she's on the dolphin. And it was just a home run. And as they're leaving, the staff was so taken by the idea of all these volunteers, doctors, nurses, not getting paid to take off so that she could go on the dolphin. And most of the staff there was either Bahamian from the Bahamas, African American. They had never seen anything like this. So they said, you know what, when you're leaving, they lined up in 2 rows, one side on this side, the entire staff of the Atlantis, and one side on this side, and they wheeled Nechama through, and the entire staff was applauding as Nechama was coming through. Such a beautiful, beautiful scene. And they land in New York. Nechama had gotten her dream of being on the dolphins. Shlomo had done another mitzvah, which was what Shlomo was all about, champion of mitzvahs. 2 hours after they land, Nechama passes away. Story is sad, but she's passed away with the way that she wanted to. She got her dream. A couple of months later, Shlomo gets a phone call in his office. At that point, Shlomo was feeling completely fine. His illness was like a real quickie. He gets a phone call in his office. Hi, Mr. Zakheim. Yes? We're calling you from the Atlantis. He thought maybe he didn't pay a bill, similar to me with the Lexus. And they say...
He paid a bill.
But he paid his bill. I also paid, I don't know, I'll find out tomorrow. Anyway. Well, it was tragic. Anyway, so they say, we have something to tell you. The dolphin that Nechama was on is pregnant. Yeah. And we just wanted to let you know that the dolphin got pregnant. And sure enough, a couple of months later, they call again. The dolphin gave birth, and we're naming the dolphin Nechama. So if there is a dolphin in the Bahamas that is named Nechama, one of our champions. So of course I didn't really believe it. I'm a Jew. Why would I believe it? I went down to the Bahamas with my granddaughter, and she went on Nechama, the dolphin. And we have a picture of her on the dolphin. So the story is a beautiful story. It's about who we are, that we are the champions. It's about who you are. You are the champions. And you may be sitting there right now, and you might say to yourself, oh, me, what can I possibly do that can make a difference in that kind of way? But guess what? You know what? He did not know that he was ever going to make such a big difference. I'll tell you one more really cute story. He built the hospital. Am I running out of time?
No, please.
He built the hospital at Camp Simcha for all these sick kids. And he literally built it. He knew all the machinery that needed to be there because of his expertise in being a paramedic. He knew all the special machinery. He knew what size the doors needed to be for the real things to go through, the stretchers to go through. He knew what medicines needed to be there. He knew everything, right? So then came the building is ready, and they're going to put the Zakheim name on it. And he says to me, no, we're not putting our name on it. I said, no, why? I kind of like the idea. He said, because the building is up already, I paid for it, it's done, but if I sell the name of the building, the camp can get double their money. They got their building for free, and somebody will buy the name for a couple of $1 million to put their name on top of the building. So there we are at the ribbon cutting ceremony. Sean was there like he's nothing, like as though he's a contractor, in his polo shirt, standing over there, and there are these 2 people who are walking up, all dressed, cutting the ribbon, and I'm like elbowing him and saying, that could have been us, and he's looking at me and he says, isn't this better? And I'm thinking, no, not at all. So we did the ribbon cutting ceremony, their name that goes up, right? Now you know how strong his belief in God is? This is an interesting story. One day, I said, does it ever bother you that our name is not up there on the building? He said, no, I'm going to show you something. He was very secretive about the mitzvahs that he did. He felt that this was his relationship to God. He didn't need the whole world saying, wow, how amazing you are. He was more, did anybody watch The Lone Ranger? The Lone Ranger is an old television show, way before your time. It was about a guy who used to run around doing very good deeds, but he was masked. And you wouldn't know that it was him, and then after he did his good deed, he would disappear. It's a guy thing. I think guys like to do that, you know? It's not so much a girl thing. We like, girls like, I do something good. I want the world to know I'm doing something good. Well, sure enough, guess what? One day he said to me, you know what? Let me show you something. He had a helicopter. So he had taken an aerial shot from the helicopter of the building, of the hospital. His father's name, Shlomo's father's name, was Yaakov. On top of the building, in a small plaque like this, and nobody will ever know, except if you're up in a helicopter, it says, in honor of my father, Yaakov Zakheim. So it was kind of his own private dedication to his father. He didn't need the name up on the building, but it was his own little dedication. How sweet is that? Is that not nice? So that's who I think you are. I think that you are my Shlomos. I think you are the champions. And you can do it. It's in the song. We are the champions. We can do it. And even though we have challenges, even though there are people out there that don't want us to be as great as they are, and don't want to acknowledge that Israel has been the place that has invented almost everything that we have now in technology. And we're amazing people. We need to know that we're the champions. And we need to go into Passover. And go into Passover saying, yes, God did split the sea for us. He did it for us because he loved us. And he gave us the Torah because we are the champions. And it's real. It's as real as the Holocaust. And remember what I said, that another 100 years from now, people are going to say the Holocaust, it probably never really happened. That's what we're saying when we say we don't believe that God was really there taking us out of Egypt. And that's why, like on my way here, I just kept thinking, we are the champions, we are the ones. And again, I would like to very much extend, I do Friday nights at my house, and when I extend this invitation, I extend it with sincerity, that I would really, truly love for you to come to my house on a Friday night, randomly, you could just come over and just let us know that you're coming, but we would love to have you. I would love to have you. It's a lot of fun, it's very chilled, you don't have to do anything but come and enjoy the meal. It's really, really fun. Okay, Rabbi, we're good? Do you want to show the video? Do you want to see a video of my husband?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's it. 1, 2, 4, 7. That's it. Give, give, give. There's no such a thing as saying no. It was all about saying yes. He used to always tell me the easiest thing to do is to say no. Because you say no and you move on. You gotta know how to say yes. And then try to figure out a way how to make that happen. And that was Shlomo.
He was the kind of person where 1 minute would not go to waste. Every minute was a minute that was worth living and worth making something out of.
I think most of us look forward to relaxing. For him, relaxing was taking a project and getting the satisfaction of getting the project done.
I think he realized that Hashem gave him a lot of talents, means, and he felt like Hashem gave it to him for a reason and he should be using it for the right things.
As he used to say, if it's difficult, we do it. If it's impossible, we just try harder.
The reason that he had such a drive to do and help, I really think it was a combination of his huge heart, in addition to his tremendous amount of energy. And when you put the two together, he was on fire. You couldn't stop him.
I would react to everything. When he heard something, he heard a yid that needed something, he was there and he figured out how he could help them.
He didn't think twice about doing that. He didn't ask, other people, oh, do you want to join me in this project? It wasn't about that. It was just about getting things done.
At no point did he slow down. In the end, if anything, he sped up. From the hospital bed, he was communicating with people literally all around the world, still doing every aspect of his job at a pace that was unbelievable.
He didn't want to be known as anyone important or special. He just wanted to be a regular guy who did his thing quietly. I remember when I was a kid, and he had the ambulance company. People would ask him, so what do you do? So he would tell them that he's an ambulance driver. And he never went back and said, oh, I'm just kidding. You know, I run the company. He loved being known as a nobody.
Donating buildings and putting other people's name on it. It's one thing to donate things anonymously. It's something else to say, put somebody's name onto a building that I'm going to donate. That's tremendous, Albert.
He used to always say that, the Rebbe knows what I did. And that was enough for him.
Not only was he not looking for cover, he looked for ways to hide it. And I think that's something I really value, and it's something that I'm going to pass on to my kids. That you do the right thing, not because anyone's looking or anyone's saying that you're amazing. You do the right thing because that's what Hashem wants you to do.
I have a one-of-a-kind skin disease called linear scleroderma. It basically atrophied my thumb completely. I was sent to Camp Simcha when I was supposed to originally go there as a counselor. Some dancer actually accidentally grabbed my thumb, and I landed myself in the infirmary. I woke up, and seriously, an angel walked into the room. And Shlomo was standing there, and I remember Shlomo said, "Hi, my name is Shlomo. I've heard about you. I've heard that you have this weird disease, and I want you to know that I want to make you my mission." He kept to his word. He called me up, seriously, the day after and said, "Okay, we're making appointments, we're going to this doctor." Like, I started flying out from camp and going to random places, Pennsylvania, you name it, I've been there, I've seen that doctor. And Shlomo would come around with a massive stack of papers and all my files. Like, he would just come into the room and be like, "Hey, this is what it is," and give my whole story. And Shlomo would be like, "You're helping this girl, you're gonna fix her." And after each doctor saying, "I wish I could, but I don't know what to do," he said, "You know what, let's go see a hand surgeon. Maybe he can fix the pain," because the pain I was having was uncontrollable. And finally, the doctor was able to locate the nerve that was causing me the pain. He was able to reduce the pain by so much. And now, once the pain was reduced, I was able to go into physical therapy. From that moment, like, I called it, I knew, like, when you walked into that room and I had kind of the halo lights going on, I don't think it was the working. I really think it's because I was touched by an angel.
If there are tzaddikim in Avodah, Shlomo Zakheim was the golden Avodah. He would always tell me the following words: "Rabbi, don't worry about it." And there were millions and millions of dollars that I spent because I knew Shlomo had my back.
One of his closest to his heart things were what he called the dream team. And they would make dreams happen for kids that didn't have a great prognosis.
The Dream Team was created by Shlomo to give children who are terminally ill a chance to do anything that they want to do. Any trip, you name it, we're going to go. And I would say, what's our goal? What are we trying to do? So if we get them to smile just one time, then the whole trip is worth it. Let them forget their pain. Let them forget their ventilator just for a moment. Let them just forget it. Let them just smile and be a kid again.
During times of war, when he felt that the soldiers needed some chizuk, he would go with a bunch of guys, and they would go and bring stuff to the soldiers to uplift them, make them feel good about what they were doing. And they did different things to make the soldiers smile and laugh. They danced with them, they brought music.
I came over here for 48 hours to give chizuk to the people here in Israel, to visit soldiers, to visit hospitals, to visit different cities. We went to Ashkelon, we went to Sderot, and we're going soon to Yerushalayim, where we're donating a sefer to the boys of Merkaz Harav. We're here with Yad Eliezer, giving out package to the soldiers before they're going inside, and it's tremendous chizuk. It brings tears to everyone. They're so thankful that we're over here, giving them chizuk for what they're doing, and worship should help them. They should only be safe and come back with them.
He had no doubt about Hashem being there for him every single second. His success was all because of Hashem. His challenges were because Hashem wanted him to be challenged. And he loved it. He loved partnering with Hashem. He loved him so much.
He was our Rebbe, he was our guide, and he was the Av HaChesed. He taught us, you don't just do, you give with everything you have.
The void is tremendous. There's nobody who can truly take over. You know, we all try to take little pieces to try to figure out, you know, what we can do to help people, but that's a void that can be filled.
Now you often think about how it's a different world.
We take Shlomo with us wherever we go. Anytime we can put a smile on a sick child's face, anytime we can make a difference.
To keep his legacy, we would need an army. You know, the energy and the giving and the way that he did it. If there's one thing to continue, it's obviously strong. Be there for our dream, for family. So it's very nice. But then, thinking, where is he from? Or, am I gonna get paid? Am I gonna have a kickback?
The void is unimaginably huge. And we miss him, and he's just one of those people that is simply irreplaceable.
To me, he is not dead. And I hear every day, something new that people tell me how they helped him. He's missed by everybody. There wasn't anything bigger, greater than helping people.
Okay, you liked it? Cool guy, huh? Okay, anybody want to ask any questions or anything? Oh, that's a really good question. I actually met him at my best friend's wedding. He was going, okay, I'm going to say this, but listen to the second sentence after I say the first sentence. He was going out with my best friend. I did not steal him away, though. They broke up. She was already marrying somebody else, but they had stayed friends. And then I came to the wedding, and he was at the wedding, and I had come to the wedding with somebody else. That part was not really so nice, because I went home with Shlomo. But, sometimes you just feel it, like, it was just, sometimes you just know, and when you know, you know. So it was the middle of winter, and I picked him up. I hate that you asked me this question. Okay.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but no, it's fine, it's fine. So I had my coat check, and I didn't have a pocket in my gown, allegedly. And I saw him, he was kind of cute. So I said, could you hold my coat check for me, please? And he said, yeah, and he held my coat check, and then he walked over with a rose to my table and said, do you want to go out for a walk? Very cool move, guys, by the way. Very cool. And then we went out for a walk, and then I came home, and my mother was up, and she said, what just happened? You went out with this guy, you came home with another guy. What's wrong with you? How did you do this? What kind of girl are you? I said, he's a very nice guy. Oh, really? What school does he go to? I said, and he was not really into school like my parents were. My parents are major Holocaust survivors, which means education, like Russian parents. Education, 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 nothing else matters. So they wanted to know, like, what's he going for? Because my 4 brothers are all doctors. What is he going for? I said, well, he's in business. You're not going out with him. I said, give it a chance. You'll meet him. He's a nice guy. You're not going out with him. I said, just one day. Okay, one day. So he came in, they met him. That was it. One day, you can't go out with him again. But then, sure enough, he kind of was around all the time. I would leave my house, his car was there. I'd come out of school, his car was there. I would come out of work, his car was there. And he would always say, what are you doing in Brooklyn? Because he didn't live in Brooklyn. What are you doing in Brooklyn? Oh, I just happened to be passing. What are you doing at Brooklyn College? You don't go to Brooklyn College. I just had to be passing, So that kept going on. And then finally, his father was actually a rabbi. I don't come from a rabbi family. My parents are traditional. They're more traditional. So it wasn't like really, whatever. But anyway, his father called, my father, and said, listen, my son is going out with your daughter, and they're going out for a while already. You and I should meet. Families should meet already. So my father walked in, and he said, so, like, is this it? Like, in a way where, like, is this it? And I started crying. I said, yeah, this is it. And that was it. Then my parents met his parents, and then the rest of it is, like, happily ever after. We had 1 baby. And she was delicious, my first daughter. And then we had a set of triplets right after that. Oh. So we had 4 children, and I was under the age of 26. Both of us were under the age of 26. But he was that kind of guy, so he would take care of them at night. And it was just like, he was a lot of fun. He was very ADHD, He had a lot of energy. So I never had to worry about who was going to stay up at night. He didn't mind staying up at night. Like if they were all crying, the triplets, he would just throw them in the backseat of his car and start driving around with them. So it was just very nice. And then we had 1 more after that. So we had 5 children. And then he built up this ambulance company into many ambulance companies and was very successful. And then he got offered to sell them for like to go public. And he did that. And when we went there, I said, so what are you going to do afterwards, after we signed the thing? He said, I'm going to retire. He was very young. It was like very, sure enough, as we came out of the lawyer's office, finishing signing all of the papers, and he said he was going to retire, right? We're coming off of Innsborough Parkway, you know, over there. It's called Jackie Robinson Parkway now. We're coming off of Jackie Robinson Parkway, heading home, and there's a big sign on the building that says for sale. He says, give me a minute. And sure enough, he went in, did the for sale thing, and ended up going into another business, which also ended up doing really, really, it was kind of like anything he touched literally turned to gold. He did very, very well. So we brought up our 5 children. They're all married now. And then the 9/11 thing happened. And I always feel guilty about 9/11. Am I talking too much? No. I always feel guilty about 9/11 because I don't know how many of you were around when it happened. It was early in the morning, and I was on my treadmill. Shlomo was downstairs taking a shower, and I was upstairs on my treadmill, and I saw it on the screen. And all you saw was a plane going into the building, but it looked like a small plane. And he had planes, Shlomo, and a lot of times he charted out his planes. So me, at that time, you know, Bill, we didn't live the way we live now with terrorism. Nobody ever thought that an airplane went into a building, the World Trade Center, on purpose. It was an accident. So I ran downstairs where he was taking a shower, and I said, hurry up, get out of the shower, check if one of your planes is out on charter, thinking that maybe one of his little planes did it. So we didn't get it, you know, like it was a different time. We lived in different times. So he called up his company and he said, you know, is anybody out on my plane? They said, no, it's a real plane that went into the building. So I said, oh my gosh, because he had all these ambulance companies and he was a part of Hatzalah. Everybody knows what Hatzalah is. He was one of the starters of Hatzalah. So I took out, Hatzalah is for those of you who don't know, you're a Hatzalah member?
Yeah.
Great. So Hatzalah is a volunteer, beautiful. You never know where it's going to go. You know, it's great. Hatzalah is a volunteer ambulance organization for guys who are EMTs and paramedics. So I took out his uniform, I put it out on the bed, and I said, hurry up, go, you gotta go, they need you. And then he went down, and when he came down, people were already jumping out of the buildings. It was a terrible time. And both buildings went down. And he got leukemia years later from being down there for so many weeks. He was down there for a very long time. So when he was in the hospital and he wasn't well, I said to him, you know, there's times that I feel bad that you got sick because I put out your uniform. And he said, no. This was what God. This was God's way. This is what he wanted. Got me now.
God was like, you need a break. Obviously, you're not going to take your break here, so I have to take you up there.
Oh, that's very sweet.
That's what
I love that. Could you come up and speak with me? That was very good.
Stop. I love you. I really do.
So that's the story. But I know that if he would know 10 years later that taking the uniform and running down there that would have been the end, he would have gone anyway. And I believe that that's true about all the firemen and first responders and policemen that went down there. Because after it was over, as a crisis person, that's what I do, right? As a crisis person, we went down to do crisis debriefing for the firemen that were left alive. None of them had a problem with going down there. They all said, if we had to do it over again, we would do it over. So these are the champions, you know, and these are who we are. We are the champions. Okay, and that's my story. And